Hello everyone and welcome back to more New Cats on the Block. The next part in our series. We got some juniors who are thinking about floating into the NFL draft, and they are really leaning on getting the heck out of Dodge, getting out of Evanston, Illinois, and declaring for the draft. They can go for that if they want to. They'll probably be 4th, 5th round picks. I mean, no one from Northwestern is going to get looks like that. So go ahead, be my guest, leave if you want to. I'm not wasting the recruiting points on that. So not losing a lot of guys this time. This is probably the least amount of players that we're losing compared to previous years. In previous years, we've lost like everybody, but it doesn't really matter because we, as you can see here, loaded with blue chip prospects. We've got quite a few of them again for the 3rd straight year. We're boasting a pretty loaded recruiting class. It's a very impressive recruiting class, if I do say so myself. So we've had the top recruiting class for the last 2 years now in all of college football, and it looks like that is going to be the same as we come in with 17 5-star prospects. We just completely rebuilt our freaking team with 5-star prospects. So Texas is number 2. USC, who was number 2 last year, comes in at number 3 again. Ohio State sitting around 6. They keep getting in that little top 10 area, like 6 or 8, they're always just chilling there. But we're going to see if we got a couple other Big Ten opponents here. I'm not seeing Wisconsin, which is kind of worrying. Colorado State, the reigning national champs, come in at 16. Wisconsin behind them at 17. And then as we close out the bottom 5 here, can we get another Big Ten rival here? No, we cannot. So only Wisconsin, Ohio State, and us are in the top 25 of recruiting classes heading into the 2013 season. So we are looking pretty good to be the reigning Big Ten champs. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm shooting for. If we could win the Big Ten every year, be the class of the Big Ten every year, and play in a New Year's Six or play for a national title every year, that is obviously the goal that we have in mind. So if we can get there, then things will be cool. So my new rule moving forward, I think, with this video is any bowl that's not like a Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Orange Bowl, whatever, or a national title, I'm going to sim through it so we can just get through the years a little bit quicker, because when I recorded these, having to set time aside to record all the bowl games on top of doing like the menu stuff, it just made it take like twice as long. And that's why these videos have taken so long to get out, from where we started this series, a year ago at this point. So I'm going to try and speed things up a little bit so we can get to some other stuff here. Speaking of getting to some other stuff, we're going to get into our depth chart here. Adam Lamb is up to a 92 overall, which is nice. Our starting running back is also up to a 91 overall, Lenny McCullen. Nice fullback, why not? Receiving core is very deep, man. Nothing but 80s and even a 91 sitting there. Not the best tight end situation, but it's fine. Looking across our O-line, things are looking pretty nice too. A lot of guys in the low 90s and mid 90s even. We got some depth at that position. Of course, our defensive end position's also loaded. We got guys on the edge. There should be no doubt, man. We should be just one of, if not the best team in college football this year, and I'm really hanging my hat on that. Last year was kind of awkward because it was our best season so far, but we did lose 2 games, funnily enough. And one of those was an out-of-conference game, too, which is just, it's bizarre. Like, we shouldn't have lost that game. And then we couldn't beat Ohio State. So if we can't effectively beat Ohio State year in, year out, then this is just going to get a lot more difficult before it gets any easier for us, because, there's always those 2 or 3 teams every year that seem to just trip us up. And even the teams that aren't, like, the ones that we look at, like Wisconsin, Purdue, Ohio State, or Michigan, like the Indianas, who always seem to just put up a ton of points with us. The Illinois games have been a little bit closer, just more so high scoring than I would like, like a team that wins 2 to 4 games every year. They should not be scoring the kind of points that they do, but they always manage to do so. And then Indiana's always winning like a single game, but they always manage to go toe for toe. So here on the cover of Sports Illustrated to start the year, we have our linebacker Christensen gracing the cover. And I think this is the first time, or maybe not the first time, but it's one of the few times that we've actually been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I'm sure week by week with some of our upsets we've gotten onto it, but this is the first time heading into the season that we're getting some praise here on our team here. So we're going to change up the coaching strategy a little bit because we have an effective run game. So I kind of want to mess with it a little bit, kind of balance it a little bit. going in favor of the pass has been working for us, but like not to the extent that I want it to, right? Like I go high on the pass, expecting to have like 4,000 passing seasons, and we have not had that. So I'm going to try and balance it out a little bit and see if the sim is a little bit nicer to us. And there you see we are starting the season ranked number 1 in the country. So we are absolutely getting the looks this year from the committee, the polls, whatever. We are absolutely getting the looks this year, and here's a look at our schedule. It's pretty rough yet again. We only have 3 ranked Big Ten opponents, but we do have number 16 ranked Ole Miss. So this could be, I guess, a revenge game because we haven't played them since 2010 when they beat us in the Capital One Bowl. So again, gracing over our schedule here, it's going to be pretty brutal. And Ohio State coming in at 15 is weird. So they must have had a pretty bad year last year. And by bad, I mean like maybe 3 or 4. Or no, they finished number 4 in the country last year. So it's weird that they're that far down to start. But either way, we're going to get right into our season here as we start things off at home with West Virginia. And we beat West Virginia in convincing fashion here. A 15-point victory to start off the season and hold on to our number 1 rank. Then we follow things up with a dominant victory over UCF. I think UCF is pretty good at like the first 1 or 2 years of these sims, but then they just completely go to bad. So we beat them in one of our biggest point margins of this sim. We do manage to hold on against number 15 ranked Ole Miss by just a touchdown, which I will take. We beat Arkansas State finally. I feel like we've lost to Arkansas State exclusively in the sim, but we finally do beat Arkansas State, and now that brings us into number 12 ranked Ohio State, and we kill the Buckeyes in the Horseshoe in Columbus. We absolutely dominate the Ohio State Buckeyes. We are the class of the Big Ten. This is our year as we roll back home, welcoming the Minnesota Gophers, and again, we pound them. A 1-win Minnesota Golden Gophers team. They just cannot seem to get anything going for that program, and that brings us into Indiana to take on the Hoosiers, who, again, we boast over 60 points on the Hoosiers, 62-14. I mean, look at these final scores. We're the best team in college football. Like, we are a freaking powerhouse. And then Wisconsin humbles us again. Wisconsin humbles us again. Number 13th ranked Wisconsin. They've lost a single game, and they just handed us our first L of the year. And depending on how Wisconsin finishes their year, that could have potentially been for the Big Ten conference title, and that will really piss me off if that is how it ends up working. But we do bounce back against number 21 ranked Purdue, who again is struggling here to kind of hover above 500. They're doing better this season. They're at 6-3. They're hanging around in the top 25, but we might have made things just a little bit more difficult. And Penn State, who's having a similar season as Purdue, is not getting the looks from the top 25, but we do hand them their 4th L here as we beat Penn State for, I think, the 3rd, 4th, 5th year in a row. Pretty nice. So, and then we close things off with a home game here with Michigan, and we beat Michigan again pretty convincingly, who's having a terrible year. They're struggling to be 500. And then, of course, our rivalry game in Champaign, Illinois, against the 4-7 Fighting Illini, a game that we should not lose. We never lose, and we don't lose it this time as we beat the Fighting Illini 46-3, giving me flashbacks to the UCF game earlier this year, beating them 54-5, and that finishes off our regular season at least, or I guess, just the season, our slate of games here, as now we are looking ahead to our bowl game. We have to get something pretty good here, finishing off 11-1 in our regular schedule, and we do get an invitation to play in the Orange Bowl against an undefeated Georgia Tech team, number 3rd ranked Georgia Tech team, and so that is okay. So you didn't see the conference title flash up for us, so that means that we did not win the Big Ten. I'm guessing Wisconsin did, which is just absolutely infuriating as we get a New Year's 6 game here, even though we're playing on the 2nd of January. What we're going to be taking on the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech here, who had a perfect season. And there is the matchup between us. And so in that next video, we will take on the Yellow Jackets, and we will get the Orange Bowl underway. Hope to see you all there. We're going to need all the support we can for the Wildcats.